Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Review Morning Briefing. It is Wednesday, the 11th of December. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barry. How's it going, Joshua?
Good. Very cold in Glasgow. How is it where you are? Warmer?
It's a tad chilly, yes. It's a day for sticking old hat on and gloves, I'd imagine, if you're heading out. It's not as cold as Carol says, though, -5 in Dundee, and I'd imagine it's nowhere near as cold as Sharm el Sheikh, where Drew is tuning into the show this morning. So, wrap up warm, folks, wherever you are, or maybe not if you're watching us from sunnier climes. First of all, a bit of an apology somewhat from myself. Those of you that are Rangers Review Extra members, you do know that we were meant to record our Q&A show yesterday afternoon. I was going off my nut because nobody could hear what I was saying on the video, and I thought it was down to my microphone on my laptop or something else technical. I later found out it was a glitch with StreamYard, who we use to broadcast our shows in the morning, and many other podcasts were feeling the brunt of it. So it was a StreamYard issue, folks. So apologies on behalf of them, I guess, that you never got your Q&A show yesterday. Stephen says, I thought it was my headphones at first. Yep, I was trying everything, Stephen, the old turn off and on again, all that sort of stuff, but thought it was something to do with my equipment. But it wasn't the case. So, apologies for that. Joshua has just sent me a message as well. He's dipped out because his laptop is restarting. So, yes. So, we'll just go with myself at the moment, and we'll crack on. What we plan to do today is a Q&A show. So, you never got one yesterday. We've got a handful of questions that were fired in for the show that was meant to be recorded yesterday, but of course never materialised. So we'll get through them. If you want to fire your questions in on the side of my screen as well, we'll get through as many as we possibly can. Colin Cooper, apologies as well. It says, where's the tinsel, Derek, or a tree? I'm upstairs in the back room. Downstairs, I did say yesterday, my house is like Clark Griswold's downstairs. Upstairs, I've been sent to the back room where there is a real distinct lack of festive decorations. So, I did say I would sort that out yesterday. There was too much going on, however. So, I will make that my number one priority today, folks. So, I do apologise for the lack of Christmas decorations. I'm just trying to have a look around to see if there's anything. Unfortunately, there is not. So, I'll sort that out tomorrow, Colin. Don't worry about that. Right, let's crack on. Well, we're going to start off while we wait for Joshua to rejoin the video. We'll start off with what Hamza Igamane has been saying. He's given an interview to a publication in his homeland over in Morocco about his breakthrough at Rangers, if you like, and the challenges that are coming his way. So this is what he had to say. He said, on the challenge of Tottenham on Thursday night, he says, I know the game against Spurs will not be easy. We are facing a team who are very strong and have had some good results in the Europa League, but we believe in our capabilities and we want to make our fans happy. And Spurs are also going into the game after a loss against Chelsea. Personally, I am, of course, pleased with the performances I have been giving recently. I have scored in my last 2 games, and I am delighted with that. As I have said, I feel my adaptation process within the club has gone well, and time seems to have passed quickly. My first goal is to continue helping my team. I think it has helped because all my teammates welcomed me warmly, helped me integrate, and provided me with all the assistance I needed, as well as all the coaching staff. We have a lot of challenges ahead at Rangers, and looking ahead, the national team is the dream of any Moroccan player. Everyone wants to defend the jersey of their country's team. I will continue to work hard to achieve this honour and represent the Moroccan national team. So that is what Hamza had to say. I don't think he has any concerns about making the Moroccan squad if he continues in this vein of form that he's currently in. The big question is, of course, and when Joshua is just coming back on now, Do you start Hamza against Tottenham with one eye on Sunday? I'd be looking to start him in both games. For me, I think I'm starting Danilo on Sunday and Hamza Igamane possibly off the left against Celtic. And I may be looking at starting him up top against Spurs tomorrow night. But let us know in the comments if you agree. Stephen with the point just on Igamane says his goals have been great, but his attitude and work rate have been great. He brings an excitement that not many in the squad do. Yeah, absolutely. He's one of those players. I said it yesterday. I do like the sort of players that get your bums off seats, the old-fashioned throwback sort of players that look like they're just playing with their pals in the street. So yeah, Igamane certainly falls within that bracket from what we've seen so far, and we just hope that he continue in that vein as he is doing just now. So yeah, keep it up, Hamza. But let us know in the comments, folks. Would you start him in both games? Are you keeping him fresh for Sunday? Mark with a point says, I'd agree, Derek. I think we need to get in Celtic's faces at the weekend. It's a one-off game. We need to go for it like we have been in the past few games. Yeah, it's one of those ones. Many Old Firm matches in recent years, you've left thinking, have Rangers gave it everything that they've got, and they've given away cheap goals, and they've almost sort of invited Celtic onto them. I think getting in their faces is the right way to go with regards to Sunday. I think the Celtics' defence is probably a weak point in their team. Don't get me wrong. I think they're far stronger than Rangers overall, but in a one-off game, then certainly I want Rangers to go out there and leave everything on the pitch. And that means being aggressive from the off, winning duels all over the park. If they can do that, then they'll give themselves half a chance. Blue Nose John gets in touch. He says, I heard that Igamane is getting called up to the Moroccan national team. Yeah, it would not surprise me if that's the case. They are well aware of how he's getting on at Rangers. And of course, he came through the ranks at Morocco, played for all the age levels coming through. So I think that the realistic thing would be for him to start representing his country at senior level. I've said it there in his interview. That's his dream, and I can see him doing that in the not too distant future. Right, let's crack on with some of the questions. So as I mentioned earlier, I got a barrel loads of questions sent in for the now phantom Q&A show yesterday. So the first one was from Darrow. Now, I did answer this yesterday without realising nobody could hear a word I was saying. So we'll tackle it again. Darrow says, with Ridvan working his way back, do you play him Thursday and rest Jefte for Sunday? I'd say the same with Igamane. Use Dessers and keep Igamane free for Sunday. Also by Rami in the 10 on Thursday. So many questions for Thursday's lineup. Unusual. Yeah, a lot of selection headaches for the manager. Good selection headaches, of course. He's got options now, players coming back from injury, how he's going to set up the team with one eye on Sunday, which is the bigger game of the two. But a victory, a positive result against Tottenham, even I think a draw against Spurs on Thursday, despite that their woes in the Premier League, I think would be a decent result for Rangers with regards to their Europa League aspirations. But his point on Ridvan working his way back, do you play him tomorrow and rest Jefte for Sunday? It's a good question. Ridvan, of course, back in contention. I would be tempted to do that. I would also be tempted to start Ridvan against Celtic. I mean, it's a toss-up. I think Jefte has been really good since he came in. He has played a lot of games, probably more games than I expected, but that is down to Ridvan's injury. He has been injured for a fair chunk of his Rangers career. But let us know in the comments, folks, Jefte or Ridvan. Do you possibly look at Ridvan at left back, moving Jefte in a more advanced position on Thursday or even Sunday? What do you do? Let's get to some of the comments that are coming in just on that. Stephen says, I would start Ridvan on Sundays. I think he gives us more defensively. Yeah, fair point, I guess. And there's a point as well. Derek says, put Ridvan in European window, is what he has to say on that. Colin says, Jefte, both games. Yeah, I think he will play Jefte both games. I think Ridvan will come off the bench is my hunch with regards to that. But as you all know, I cannot predict a Philip Clement side for the life of me. So who knows what he's going to do. On the issue of the front line, Daryl says, going with Igamane, use Dessers on Thursday, keep Igamane free for Sunday. I get that point as well. I just think Igamane offers a lot more to Rangers than Cyril Dessers in terms of his movement. I think Rangers look more fluid and more threatening with Hamza Igamane leading the line than Cyril Dessers up top. So, I would be keeping Cyril Dessers on the bench personally. Again, let us know if you agree with that, folks. If Igamane is fit to play tomorrow, I'm playing him, and I'm also playing him on Sunday as well. But few comments coming in on Igamane for the upcoming games. Bobby says Igamane left wing. Yeah, he can play on left wing and cut inside. Do you play that? Do you play Bayrami in at the 10 perhaps tomorrow? Bayrami has dropped out recently. He hasn't been setting the heather alight, but again, we haven't seen him in his favoured position properly on a consistent run of games, which is why he was brought to the club in the first place. So I would be tempted to play him in at 10 tomorrow and see how he gets on, Nadim Bayrami. But again, we're second-guessing Philip Clement's team, which is not easy to do. Stephen, on the point on the front line, says I'd be tempted to try Dessers and Igamane up top on Thursday. Dessers can't play up top on his own, needs a partner. Totally agree with that. Right, let's get good question, incidentally, Daryl. Thank you for that. Let's get to the next one from Andrew Webster. Why are our B team not playing in the Highland League when Celtic and Hearts are? Surely some competitive games, even at that level, would be more beneficial than friendlies. Well, the Lowland League is what you mean there, Andrew. But yeah, I totally get it. We touched on this last week, I think, when I was on with Johnny about Rangers taking themselves out of the B team out of the Lowland League. And of course, they now just play ad hoc friendlies, best v best games as and when. They did well, the B team. They reached the quarterfinals of the SPFL Trust Trophy recently, where they get put out by Queen's Park. They should, I think the Lowland League is a better scenario than what they are currently in at the moment, which is no competitive, consistent games. For me, there has to be a revamp. I know Philip Clement touched on this at the AGM recently, about the future of the B team and the gap between that and the senior team being pretty large, and how he's trying his best to reduce that gap and making the jump as less severe as it is at the moment. There also has to be a bigger picture outlook from Scottish football on B teams and the way forward. Now, at the moment, for me, it doesn't look like the best decision that Rangers have made, taking the B team out of the Lowland League. If that could be renegotiated, I'd be sticking them back in. I don't think that is the answer, incidentally, but it's at least consistent games for these young lads going up against adult men. So, yeah, what do you think that the solution is, folks? But I don't think the B team, as it currently is working at this moment in time. So yeah, good question on that one. A few points coming in on Joshua as well. Headkeeper says, just seen Josh Christmas shopping, Derek. Yeah, I think he's at it. He does tell me that his laptop is having an absolute nightmare at the moment. So I'll take his word for it. If he is out Christmas shopping, then yeah, that is a straight red on morning briefing time, that's for sure. Let's get to the next question from Robert Grant. Afternoon, team. Do you think realistically this is a real test and could help our season, with the next two games being huge for us? I do actually think it's a massive point in the season for Rangers. I will just stop there because we've had a substitution. The board is being held aloft because Joshua Barry's number is being held up and he has been taken off injured. And Chris Jack is stepping in for him. Absolute hero stuff there. Chris coming in to replace Joshua, is crocked, unfortunately, in keeping in with the theme of Rangers. So Chris joins us. How's it going, Chris?
The best substitution since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came on one night in a Champions League game.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, all good. All the better for seeing your smiley face. I've got to say, you can help me out with the Q&A here. So Derek says, well done, Chris. Yeah, absolutely. Warmed up. He was just called from the bench. Quick warm up, and now he's in. And yeah, absolutely. So a bit of a Q&A show. So the question came in just there from Robert. He says, hi team, do you think realistically this is a real test? Just talking about the next two games, and could help our season with the next two games being huge for us. We sort of touched on this on Monday when we were on, Chris, about the lay of the land, and if Rangers can get a result in the next two matches, more so Sunday more than anything else, if Rangers can get that League Cup victory in the bag, retain the trophy, and Phil Clement getting that first win over Celtic, that can certainly improve his outlook, the way for the season ahead. Rangers are in a decent run of form at this moment in time, but I don't think they've come up against teams of this calibre yet. So I think it really could change the outlook for the season if they can get two positive results here.
I think we will learn quite a lot about this group collectively and individually. I think we'll learn quite a lot about the manager and his future over these next couple of games, over these next few days. You look at what Rangers have done in recent weeks. It has been better. Performances have been better. Results been better. Kelly obviously been the standout one in that regard. But you have to say that the challenge between Kelly and Ibrox are going away to Ross County is very, very, very different from Spurs on a European night and then a cup final against Celtic. I had this conversation with a couple of people yesterday, and I said if Rangers can get through these next couple of games, not necessarily beating Spurs, but I think a really encouraging performance against Spurs would be a positive. Obviously, a win against Celtic is a non-negotiable. That's the thing that everyone is aiming for. If they can do that, that then gives them a real big step forward, and it puts a lot of negativity to one side. If they can then build on that, I know we're not asking for much here, then build on that through the remaining league games coming up before you get into the next Old Firm game, that then gives Clement a real chance, not in terms of beating Celtic at Ibrox is going to suddenly spark a title challenge. The Rangers are too far back, too much ground has been lost. Celtic are not going to be caught, unfortunately. It's just not happening. But he would do himself and the team and the support a lot of good if he could obviously beat Celtic on Sunday, but then go and follow it up a couple of weeks later. And it would be a really perhaps game-changing couple of weeks for him, because he has been under a lot of pressure. He has been subject of a lot of questions about his future and his signings and his tactical approach. The best way to silence all of that, the best way to park all of that, is by winning games, but winning big games, winning big European games, winning silverware. Ultimately, you are judged as Rangers manager on what you win. If you don't win, you won't last very long as Rangers manager. So, yes, I know there has been this kind of feeling of Spurs could inflict a heavy defeat on Rangers. I know a lot of people don't really fancy Rangers to go and beat Celtic on Sunday. That's the negative side of it. That's one side of it. But there's huge opportunities on the other side of it, and it's that side of it that the manager and the players will be looking at. They will see this as a huge opportunity for them, and if they can grasp that opportunity, what a difference it makes to the feeling amongst the support and the narrative round about the football club.
Yeah, and just off the back of that, this question caught my eye from Multiple Man. He says, blue sky thinking here, if we win the next two games, how will the support view Clement? And what will our confidence be like when Celtic come to Ibrox? Well, again, I think it will help massively. In terms of the manager himself, he said it in a recent press conference, I think after the Dundee United game, where he said there is no credit in the bank. I would say he was in his overdraft with regards to that and fan feeling towards him. I think he's still in the overdraft, I would say. But if he can get that, you said it many times before, Chris, a Rangers manager that cannot beat Celtic is of no use. If he can get that monkey off his back, get that victory in a League Cup final, no less, that is huge for him and sort of getting a bit more faith back from the supporters that he is the man to turn this ship around.
Now, I don't think we're overstating it by saying that he does have critics amongst the Rangers fans. Now, we've seen it often enough on the show post-match shows when things have gone badly this season, also on a number of occasions, unfortunately, the reaction from the fans has spoken volumes. Now, we see what people make of the performances. We see the damage that it's done to Clement and his standing amongst the support. But then the flip side of that, the last couple of weeks, people were a lot more positive after Kelly. Obviously, people have been a bit more upbeat on the briefings as these games have drawn closer. People have been a bit more enthusiastic about Rangers' chances. And as I said there's no better way to win people over, to get people on side, to give people a boost than by winning games. If you can then go and win big games, that takes such a huge weight off Clement's shoulders. The Old Firm record is clearly a monkey on his back now. It's something that is unacceptable. It's something that has to be changed. It doesn't get many more chances at this now to break that record. If it was to lose on Sunday, we know that record will be thrown up in his face again. If he was in to lose at Ibrox, we know that record would then be thrown up again, and people would then be asking real questions about whether he's the right man to be Rangers manager. If he can reverse that on Sunday, as a comment says there, it should give him huge confidence then heading into Ibrox. It perhaps gives him a blueprint, perhaps gives him an idea of how Celtic can be beaten. Really interested to see how he goes about it on Sunday. Does he try something different tactically? Does he try something different in terms of the selection? He does have more options now. He does have more ways to try and get at Celtic. And if he could do that on Sunday, it just gives everyone such a different perspective on this side and on him as a manager. So without jumping ahead too much to the Ibrox game, I think the game on Sunday has such a big influence on that league game.
Yep. Good to have fellow Warrington Bear Graham getting in touch. He says he can't just blame Clement. Granted, some of his decisions and comments leave you bamboozled, but the players need to step up too and not hide behind the manager. So that is what he has to say on that. Good question initially from Robert there. Thank you for that, buddy. Let's get on to the next one from Kev Miller. He says, Derek, do you think we should keep the team fresh for Sunday? Does it need to be kids on Thursday, as they can play proper Red Van Dessers by Rami Dill, Igamane, McCausland, and Cortez? This leads into how, the more important game is Sunday, Chris, but do Rangers, I can't see Clement playing a vastly weaker side tomorrow night. Fans have paid good money to attend Ibrox tomorrow. They'll be expecting a real performance from Rangers up against top drawer opposition. I think he'll look at it as well, the manager, and go, if he can get a result out of this game, then it's huge for him and huge heading into Sunday. Can you see him making many changes to the team? Of course, enforced ones would be Hadji and Danilo, who aren't part of the squad anyway.
I don't think it'll be widespread. I don't think he will go and really rip it up and start again. I think when you're in a better run of form, you want to try and keep that going. You want to try and keep players in the groove. Of course, you want to try and prevent injuries and overloading. You have to have one eye. I'm sure when the manager speaks at his presser later on, also Josh is heading over to Ibrox for us later for the press conference. When he speaks, he will say it's full focus on Thursday. He's not thinking about Sunday. He will say all the right things to tick all the right boxes, but the way that he picks his side on Thursday, it has to be influenced by Sunday. If there's anyone who's got a doubt, we know he puts a lot of emphasis on minutes and the loading and the sports science side of it. If there's any doubts over anyone, you can't be taking risks with him on Thursday night. It's just not worth it. I think we'll probably see Robin Proper come back in up front. Is it a chance to give Cyril Dessers a game? I know that's a phrase that will strike fear into the heart of many fans who have been encouraged and who've enjoyed watching this new brand of Rangers attacking play of late. But with no Danilo as you outlined, Igamane, I think he could be a really big player for Rangers on Sunday. So do you perhaps not play him and bring Barami back in? Does Mohamed Diamande come back in? Right hand side, Tierney probably plays just because there's not really an alternative option there. You could put someone like Ross McCausland in, but I think that certainly weakens the side. So I think we will see changes. It's not going to be like 8, 9, 10 of them, but I think there will be a couple. I think the ones that that Connor outlines it, I don't think he's that far away. I know we touched on the Tav Sterling debate earlier on. For me, it's Tav on Thursday and Sterling on Sunday.
Yep.
So, but I think that there will be changes, but it's not a weakening it too much, because you also have to bear in mind what side Spurs will play. Ange needs a result as much as Clement does. He needs to try and get his fans back on side. So I don't see him going too weak. But you'd imagine again there would be changes. So I don't think it'll be two sides going full pelt at full strength. But there should be I think both managers will put out a side they will be confident can go and put on a really good showing. And so I think Clement will fancy his chances of getting something from this game, even though he did obviously mention the financial disparity and that type of thing. If you go into a game like this and you don't fancy your chances, you're in the wrong place. You look at what Rangers have done in European football in recent seasons, the Ibrox factor obviously comes into it. Rangers, they can't be too bombastic about it, but they should think we can go and get a result against Spurs.
Yep. Incidentally, yeah, you're right about Ange. He really needs a result, so I can see him taking this very seriously indeed. A win would do him the world of good. But yeah, incidentally, folks, if you want to learn more about tomorrow night's opponents, getting some really good comments off the back of our chat with Rob White, the Tottenham fan and author who we had on speaking about Spurs. Also, he's the son of the famous late great Tottenham and Scotland legend John White. So he talks about his father as well. He's written a book about him, which has been out for quite some time. It's been restocked. He took it to the stage, and he also spoke about his father's dream of playing for Rangers. Apparently, they've had scouts watch them about 40 times, but they never made the move to bring him to Ibrox, which is a crying shame, if you ask me, because I think he could have been an absolute star for Rangers. But yeah, I urge you to go and give that a watch. Right, let's move on to the next question. Well, first of all, I want to bring this up from Steve. Well, I've seen this yesterday, Chris. He says, good to see the mic working again. The mic was working, Steve, incidentally. It was StreamYard, as I touched on. Might have missed the start of the show, but StreamYard were having a Joshua Barry yesterday. That is why we weren't able to record our Q&A show. But anyway, he says, have you discussed the Croatian number 6 from Osijek? We've been linked with paper nonsense, he says. Is it paper nonsense? So this was reported yesterday. Croatian midfielder Marko Soldo is a Croatian under-21 international, valued at around £2.5 million. Rangers said to be one of the clubs keeping tabs on him. He only moved to Osijek in the summer from Dinamo Zagreb, and he's made quite the impression. Apparently, he scored 6 goals, has 4 assists this season. Can't say I know too much about the lads, Chris, but we are heading towards January. I'd imagine there'll be many more players linked, but a number 6 certainly is the position I would like to have seen Rangers strengthen in the summer. They were linked to a number of players, never quite materialised. I think an experienced number 6 would have been certainly beneficial if they could have brought someone in the summer. So no surprise to see them linked with a number 6 here.
You have just you've lined off everything that I know about this player, unfortunately. So I'm not able to add too much. I saw the social media chat on this one yesterday. Not a name that I've heard of. Not something that I'm aware of. As always, when names pop up, we will try our best to get to the bottom of them. The January transfer window has snuck up on us. Unfortunately, we were basking in the glory of getting the summer one out the road and being bombarded with names and phone calls. And before you know it, it's back around. I think you will see Rangers do business in January. I think we touched on it a couple of weeks ago after the Casemiro news that the need to bring in a defender who can play both sides at centre back and potentially provide a bit of cover right back, left back as well. Someone in that Casemiro mould, I think, would be a beneficial signing. There will be talk about strikers. I'm sure there will be talk about wide players. I'm sure, depending on how well Matondo and Cortes come back after their respective injuries. You look at that midfield. There's not a lot of strength and depth there. I think individually the players have played well. Raskin has been really impressive over the last couple of weeks. Conor Barron has been a good addition to the squad. Could Rangers improve on Conor Barron? Yes. Could they improve on Nico Raskin? Probably. Will they? time will tell. So I think Raskin has been the pick of the two since he came back into the squad. Then looking at the rest of them, Bailey Rice can't really get a proper look in, which I think is a shame, but doesn't seem to be in at that stage of making that breakthrough yet. Kieran Dowell, I know a name that comes up a lot, mostly in negative terms when people see him on team sheets. For me, that's a squad place that could be filled by either a younger player or someone who's going to be better than what Rangers have already. And I think that's one to potentially watch out for. Rangers can reinvest in that money. You also have other guys in the squad, like Tom Lawrence, out of contract soon when the decisions have to be made over the likes of him. So I think we will see Rangers do a bit of business. That number 6 role, if they could find a real upgrade, I think that would be beneficial to them. And as you say on this particular link, it sounds the type of deal that Rangers should be interested in or could be interested in just because of the profile in terms of position, age, potential value, potential resale value. That's the sort of market that Rangers have to be looking in and trying to exploit if possible.
Yes, Alan with the point as well says all Croatians are welcome. Have we signed a bad one? I was just thinking there. I don't think they have signed a bad one. Even the likes of Čolak, who was only here for a season and a bit, of course, I think was a really good addition at the time. Scored a barrel load of goals. Katic, I thought, was a decent player, did well for Rangers. And then you're going into the likes of Dado Pusso, who was an absolute hero in Bournemouth, I think, for the money. I think it was money well spent over the piece. I can't think of any other Croatians. Have they had any other Croatians, Chris, off the top of your head?
Yeah, you're missing another striker.
Am I? Forgot all about. How dare I forget Nikita Jelavic? That is disgraceful.
If there's not an absolute barrage of abuse piling in on these on these comments there, I see Stephen had just raised Nico Kranjčar.
Yeah, Kranjčar as well. Dearie me.
Let's not go too overboard on the Nico Kranjčar hype, but you'll be getting absolute pelters. I hope for missing out on Jelavic.
Yeah, what a player he was. Actually, I was in a local pub on last Friday, and there was guys just overheard a chat, and they were talking about, I think they were Everton fans, and I just heard them overhearing talking about Jelavic. No idea what they're talking about, but I'd imagine saying how we could do with a striker like him at this moment in time. But yeah, he was a right good player, Nikita Jelavic. So apologies, Nikita, if you are watching. I know you're an avid fan of the morning briefing, so apologies for getting you there. But yeah, absolutely, Rangers have done well with Croatians down the years. So yeah, let's we'll take one more question before we wrap up. I'm conscious of the time here. There's an interesting one that came in. Let me bring up. Well, first of all, I'll address this, just a bit of admin. Scott B says, when's the presser today? It's actually a bit later on. Both pressers taking place at Ibrox. So Rangers, we should hear from the manager around about 3:45, and Ange Postecoglou scheduled to speak around about, is it 5:30, 5:45, Chris?
5:45. So the Rangers player is 2:45, Rangers manager 3:45, and Spurs is 5:45 ahead of their training session at Ibrox. So a bit later today. It's also a bit later on Friday as well. So people have to keep that in mind when they're checking the socials and checking the site and the channel for all the press conference stuff. As I said, Josh heading out there later on, and we'll obviously have full video coverage on the channel and Q&As and the written interviews on the website as well.
Yep, and we'll wrap up. Well, firstly, Colin says, Derek, shout out to my youngest boy. I'm taking him to his first game tomorrow night. Superb stuff. Yeah, hopefully it's a very enjoyable first game, and one of many, I'm sure, following Rangers. Can you remember your first game, Chris?
It was Dundee United at Ibrox in a Coca-Cola Cup tie, around about 96, 97, I think. I keep meaning to go and check it up, because when we're on these kind of European tips and stuff, it always kind of comes up. If you're out for a bit of dinner or a couple of beers at night, people always start kind of reminiscing of yesteryear, and kind of going through first games and first trips and that type of thing. So I keep meaning to actually go and try and refresh my memory. My memory for games and stuff is not as good as Josh's. Not just like kind of first ones. He can like rhyme off like, random wins over St Johnstone from 3 seasons ago. My mind doesn't. My mind's not got that storage capacity, unfortunately. But so I do keep meaning to go and try and find out. But it was definitely I'm sure it was Dundee United and a Coca-Cola Cup tie.
Excellent. I think from memory, I mean, I'm a bit hazy myself, I've got to admit, but I think it was Dumbarton back in the League Cup in '92 or something. I think Rangers ran out 5-0 winners, if I'm not mistaken. But you always recall your first game. That'll be fantastic for you, Colin, taking your youngest along to that game. So I very much hope you have a great evening at Ibrox. It'll be one of those famous European nights, I am sure. Right, we'll wrap up there. Big thanks to Chris for stepping in at the 11th hour to replace Joshua Barry. We hope his laptop hasn't gone to a laptop heaven, and he will be back joining us again tomorrow at some point. But thank you to you all for tuning in. What was a great Q&A show. Apologies if I never got to your question, but thank you for you all for taking part in the show, sending your questions in, and your support to the channel as well. Remember, folks, if you're a big fan of the channel, you watch the videos and you aren't a subscriber, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You'll never miss a video when we go live. We will have a press conference reaction video to come a little bit later on this evening. We hope you can join us for that. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye for now.